welcome to today's update on Hurricane Lee. Bon après-midi à tous et bienvenue à cette mise à jour concernant l'ouragan Lee. This afternoon's speakers in the following order are Kyle Levitt, Director, New Brunswick Emergency Measures Organization; Pete Lucier, Manager, New Brunswick Emergency Measures Organization; Trent Martin, Executive Director, Transmission and Distribution Operations, MB Power; and the Honorable Chris Austin, Minister of Public Safety. Les porte-paroles aujourd'hui dans l'ordre suivant sont le directeur de l'Organisation des mesures d'urgence du Nouveau-Brunswick, M. Kyle Levitt, le gestionnaire de l'Organisation des mesures d'urgence du Nouveau-Brunswick, M. Pete Lucier, le directeur exécutif des opérations de transmission et de distribution d'énergie Nouveau-Brunswick, M. Trent Martin, et le ministre de la Sécurité publique, M. l'Honorable Chris Austin. Avant de céder la parole au directeur Levitt, voulez-vous assurer de désactiver le son de vos micros? Before I turn things over to Director Levitt, I'm asking everyone online to ensure your microphones are placed on mute. Director.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Bon après-midi tout le monde. Merci d'être ici aujourd'hui. Comme tout le monde devrait le savoir maintenant, les répercussions de l'ouragan Lee peuvent être ressenties au Nouveau-Brunswick aussitôt que vendredi soir. Environnement et Changement climatique Canada prévoit que nous verrons en fait les plus grandes répercussions de cette tempête samedi et les effets également qui vont sentir jusqu'à dimanche. L'ouragan pourrait frapper tout près de l'île Grand-Manan, au comté de Shelburne, en Nouvelle-Écosse, samedi soir. Environnement Canada et Changement climatique Canada prévoit qu'il y ait des bourrasques de vent jusqu'à 100 km/h le long de la côte et de 60 à 80 km/h dans la plupart des autres régions. La pluie totale de plus de 100 mm est possible. Des vagues de 4 à 6 mètres sont également possibles le long des côtes. De telles conditions peuvent
localized flooding and road closures. Given the forecast, I would encourage all New Brunswickers to be prepared while there is still time to do so. There are things that require little effort that can be done to help you keep you, your family, and your property safe. For example, take some time to clean up your property. We could see gusts up to 100 kilometers per hour. That can turn tools, lawn furniture, other objects into dangerous projectiles. Another easy task is to make sure that your catch basins and gutters are clear and will guide water away from your home appropriately. If you have skills to do so, cut down dead tree branches that might fall during the storm and damage vehicles or your home. And of course, make sure that you have an emergency kit that can sustain you and your family, including your pets, for a minimum of 72 hours. If you're unsure about how to go about making such an emergency kit, there's lots of information online via the MBEMO website or social media channels. The best approach is to use common sense and to remain calm. Stay informed and stay safe. Before and during the storm, you can go to Environment and Climate Change Canada's website, where the storm track, the rainfall, and the wind speed are updated several times a day. After the storm, MBEMO and other partners will be posting updates on their websites and social media channels about power outages, road closures, and more. MBEMO continues to remain in contact with the local governments, the government departments and agencies, and the emergency services out there to ensure that the right steps are being taken for our communities. Thank you very much.
Before I go over to Manager Lucier, we had a bit of a technical glitch. Director, could you start off all the way down to road closures, those paragraphs?
To road closures. You would like me to read prior or after?
All the way start, as everyone should be aware.
Okay. So as I said, good afternoon and thank you for coming. As everyone should be aware by now, the impact of Hurricane Lee could be felt in New Brunswick as early as Friday night. Environment and Climate Change Canada is predicting that we will see the strongest impact during Saturday and lingering weaker conditions on the Sunday. Landfall could be anywhere from near Grand Manan Island to Shelbourne County, Nova Scotia, Saturday evening. Environment and Climate Change Canada latest forecast is calling for strong wind gusts up to 100 kilometers per hour along the coast and in the range of 60 to 80 kilometers per hour in most other areas. A total rainfall in excess of 100 millimeters is possible. 4 to 6 meter waves are also possible along the coast. These kinds of conditions can lead to power outages, localized flooding, and road closures.
Thank you, Director. Monsieur Lucier.
Bonjour. Les dernières prévisions
Good afternoon. The last forecast mentioned that we could have 120 kilometer winds and precipitation up to 100 millimeters. Storm surges are also possible and waves up to 4 to 6 meters. This could make that there would be outages and road closures. With these forecasts, I encourage all the people of New Brunswick to be ready while it is still time. Take the time to clean up your property. Wind gusts can reach 120 kilometers per hour, and this could make that tools, lawn furniture, and other objects could become dangerous projectiles. Another easy task is to ensure that the catch basins and gutters are clear and that they bring water away from your home. If you have the necessary skills, cut branches of dead branches, and in fact that could damage your vehicle or your house. And make sure to have an emergency kit to enable you to meet your needs and the needs of your family for at least 72 hours. If you're not sure how to prepare an emergency kit, you will find information on the EMO website of New Brunswick and social media channels. There are a lot of information there on what should be contained in the kit. But the most simple thing and most important thing that you can do is to act with common sense. Keep informed and safe. Before and during the storm, you may consult the website of Environment Canada, or the path of the storm, rainfalls, and wind speed are up to date several times a day. After the storm, EMO, New Brunswick EMO, and other partners will post updates on their websites and their social media channels regarding outages, road closures, and more. Thank you.
We have been monitoring and preparing for this weather system for the past week. We continue to refine our strategies based upon the latest forecasts. Tomorrow morning, we are opening our Emergency Operations Center. This center provides a central place to coordinate planning for outage restoration and response. We are checking our equipment, trucks, and ensuring our employees and our contractors are fully prepared to respond safely and efficiently when outages occur. At this time, we have approximately 600 resources available to us to respond across New Brunswick when outages occur. These include power line technician, vegetation management personnel, damage assessors, logistics, customer care agents, etc. They are being staged in key areas across the province to ensure they are able to respond quickly and efficiently. We're also collaborating with our provincial emergency management partners and neighboring utilities partners to coordinate our response. While we are preparing, there are things you can do to be ready as well. Make sure you have your 72-hour emergency kit on hand. Your kit should include essentials such as water, non-perishable food items, a manual can opener, flashlights, fresh batteries, a first aid kit, a battery-powered radio, and any special items such as prescriptions or infant formula. You can bookmark our outage map on your mobile device. This is where you can get updates on restoration if you lose power. Be sure to report your outage online as well. Please don't assume we know your power is out. Refresh your knowledge about operating a generator safely. Make sure it is installed and used correctly will help keep you and your family safe. Follow MB Power on social media channels as we will continue to share updates as the situation evolves. Finally, safety is at the heart of everything we do, and we are committed to respond efficiently and safely to any impacts we may face in the coming days. Our crews are highly trained to handle events such as these. I have all the confidence in our world and our team, and we are committed to serving New Brunswickers. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to this live event and the importance of the update that we're receiving both from New Brunswick EMO as well as NB Power. We have a great team here at MBO under the Department of Public Safety. So I do want to thank Kyle, Pete, and Trent for their work on this file. The work really started right around Monday. Is when we started to be aware of the potential of Lee, and now it's becoming quite clear that we are going to have an impact from Lee in the coming days. Before I get too deep into Lee, I do want to mention as well the incident in St. John that is currently being dealt with in relation to the AIM facility. Air quality, of course, as most of you know, has been greatly affected by this fire, and the people across St. John are being impacted by it. Public Health has strongly recommended that people across the city of St. John, along with those who see and smell smoke in the neighboring communities, they should shelter in place whenever possible until the fire is brought under control. If you see or smell smoke, you should close your windows, turn off any air exchangers, heat pumps, and stay indoors. And we recommend canceling any outdoor activities for now and, of course, over the weekend with the impact of Lee. It is my understanding that the City of St. John is dealing very effectively with this fire, as well as the St. John Fire Department. Our provincial coordinators are there to assist and support in any way possible if needed, but very pleased and proud of the work done by the City of St. John in relation to this event as well. So when we talk about Lee and the impact coming up here this weekend, I do want to stress the importance of not being complacent with this storm. I understand that it is going to be impacting us in a relatively significant way. And, I would refresh people's memory back to Fiona, which was recent, and even Arthur back a few years ago, and the impact that had on power outages and the lives of New Brunswickers. So don't underestimate the storm. Be prepared, as my colleagues have said, the 72-hour kit. Make sure you have batteries, water, food, portable radio, your medications in place should the power go out in your home and in your area. Stay away from coastline, other areas where water and waves may be high and unpredictable. And always remember that it's not just about your safety, but it's about the safety of first responders that may have to come. If you're not taking the advice that we're trying to give, especially in relation to those coastal areas and the Bay of Fundy. If you don't have to go out in the storm, please stay home. Keep you and your family safe. Flooding, of course, is always an issue. Power outages. Keep your refrigerator, freezer doors obviously closed as much as possible. And if you think the power will be out for at least 4 hours, of course, food can be kept cold in coolers with ice to get you through the first few hours. And we've all gone through these sort of events before. But again, the objective is not to be complacent. Don't underestimate, again, the impact of power outages and how long they could last, depending on the severity of the storm. And be ready and be prepared. Go to our website, Justice and Public Safety. The EMO link is readily available on social media, and we encourage you to go there for regular updates. So stay safe, New Brunswickers, and be prepared for the weekend that is coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you to all the podium speakers. Je tiens à remercier tous nos conférenciers. We'll now proceed with questions from members of the media. Each reporter will have one question and a quick follow-up. You have the right to pose your question in the official language of your choice. Nous allons maintenant procéder aux questions des journalistes. Chaque journaliste aura une question et un suivi. Vous avez le droit de poser vos questions dans la langue officielle de votre choix. Allison Sampson, CTV.
Good afternoon. Minister, my question's for you. Funding was changed and limited disaster assistance funding after Storm Fiona. How can people apply if they are affected, and what is there for them after this storm?
Depends on the severity of the storm after, post-storm in relation to disaster financial assistance. That program is still there. It's fully intact. The process is very similar to what it's always been. There's a threshold that does have to be met in relation to the releasing of funds, and then the eligibility for each home, each resident, should they need it. The key to remember, of course, is a DFA is not an insurance program. It's there for those that could not get insurance or that are, suffering losses that are uninsurable. But that program's there. It's effective, and we've seen time and time again that New Brunswickers have utilized that program to help them get back on their feet. So we will be there to help if it's needed. And EMO, again, has done a great job ensuring that those types of programs are there for our residents. So.
Storms like this yearly now. Does the province feel the need to, address funding into the future for these kind of disasters? Is there anything that you're planning on or setting aside at this point, seeing that it is happening very regularly?
I think the key behind any storm or any natural event that happens is how do we mitigate? It's always the preparation in relation to what storm may come, when it may come. So, New Brunswick, I think, does quite well in that relation to mitigation. And, we're constantly looking at ways of how do we, look at our public infrastructure to ensure it can withstand, heavier rain and winds. So we're always looking at those avenues. I know when it comes to our forest as well, this has been a very wet season. I mean, we all know it's been a very wet summer, which, again, raises some concern with the wind. Sometimes, even lower winds, if the grounds are saturated, the roots of the trees don't quite hold as well as they would in other occasions. So these are all areas we're constantly looking at. How do we mitigate and try to get ahead of these events?
Thank you. Hina Alam, Canadian Press. Hina?
What's your name?
We're going to move on to Vicky Hogarth with CHCO TV.
Thank you, and I apologize if this has been addressed. We're having a few issues hearing online. Hurricane Lee is expected to hit southwest New Brunswick at 2 a.m. on Sunday at high tide. What can we expect at this point in time, and are there any specific safety measures that coastal residents should take to protect themselves from the anticipated storm surge and high waves?
Yes, thank you very much for the question. I think the most obvious approach is obviously to apply common sense and stay away from areas which are at risk of having the effects on people and try to realize that there's no need to go out and no need to go do storm watching and all that sort of thing, right? The actual effects I would leave over to, obviously Environment and Climate Change Canada to comment on. But the main thing is the 4 to 6 meter waves and whatnot we're expecting is probably at the higher end if everything goes as planned, as anticipated. There's really not much more from a prevention perspective that we can do other than just staying away from those dangerous areas and staying safe.
Ms. Hogarth, do you have a quick follow-up?
I apologize if this has been addressed as well. I just can't hear. what is NB Power doing specifically to get to areas where you are already aware that trees pose a threat to break in the storm?
Yep, thanks for the question. So MB Powers is looking at our response plan provincially. We will stage resources based upon a strategy and easy deployment. So centralized deployment across the province, which will help address any outages as damage assessment comes in. We'll be able to respond accordingly.
Thank you. Julie Sico, Radio-Canada.
I wanted to know what are the cities or the main areas that you have identified that will be touched by this hurricane?
Yes, thank you. Obviously, the southern portion of the province along the Bay of Fundy will receive probably the most significant impact of effects. But throughout the province, centrally and even further north and to the east, we will still receive wind, rain effects.
Do you have a second question? No, that was all. Thank you very much.
Oh.
Sébastien Caron.
Hi, Bruce, can you hear me?
Yes, Hina. Hi, Hina.
Hi, Bruce. I was wondering if you can tell me what have you done? What has the government done to ensure cell phone coverage during this storm and make sure that alerts go out to people and we don't have a disaster like it was in Nova Scotia where people lost their lives?
Thank you for raising the question. Obviously, alerting our public is key to any kind of emergency preparedness. I can tell you that prior to this media event a couple of days ago, we had a discussion between our department and with the telecommunication providers to address this, to make sure that we understand if they had any questions or concerns or issues in exchange, to make sure that we can effectively warn New Brunswickers of any kind of action that needs to be taken. From those discussions, they've indicated that they are ready for the storm that's approaching us. Obviously, chance comes involved with a lot of these kind of situations, but I'm confident that the telecommunications service providers and our organization are doing the utmost to prepare for that.
Hina, do you have a second question? Suzanne Lapointe, Global News.
Hi, may I ask the interpreter to tell me who's answering the question, as I can only hear the interpreter's voice and I don't know who's answering. I just need the name of who's answering the question. So what has the government learned from Hurricane Fiona last year? Are there any changes to emergency response that have been implemented?
Director Levitt.
Yes, thank you. The activities around emergency management, they haven't changed within the province. We always are looking to see how we can mitigate, prepare, respond, and then effective recovery after any kind of a natural disaster. So as far as the what we've learned from previous episodes like Fiona, there's been a lot of improvements in understanding communications between groups so that we can collaborate and cooperate more readily. We've had after action report process done where we asked each participant to identify what they think worked well and then pass those good practices to others and to identify what did not work. So I can't really put a finger to any one specific increase in any sort of capability, because when you're looking at a disaster the size of impact like Fiona, everything that was in place here in the province did the best that it can. Could there be better improvement, more capacity? Yes, of course. As we move forward, we're always looking to strive for that. So as it stands right now, I would say that the biggest factor of change for us is the fact that we have more agencies, we have more departments, we have multiple levels of government, right down to the rural districts. We're now more involved, cooperating, communicating, so that way we can collaborate in planning and actually cooperate more readily in the event of a response. So,
Suzanne, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, please. Is the government of New Brunswick in contact with the government of Nova Scotia regarding a contingency plan if the Chignecto-Isthmus Passage floods?
So I'll take that.
Minister Austin?
Thank you for the question. So I did have a conversation with our counterpart in Nova Scotia, the Minister of Public Safety, Minister Lohr, on Monday, again, getting ahead of this incident. So we've agreed, and I know both EMO here in New Brunswick as well as Nova Scotia, I believe as well as PEI, we work very closely together, and if there's areas that we can support them, and I know the feeling is mutual, as Minister Lohr had mentioned, that they are here to help us too, and we will continue to do that, whether it's the weather event that we're seeing or any other event that may come forward. We do have a very good cooperation in that regard.
Thank you. Hannah Rutherham with CBC.
If I can just ask a last question, are you going to be holding media availability this weekend?
So we are on standby, and I can tell you that we will be updating the public on a regular basis throughout the weekend. Of course, in my role, capacity as minister, I'm on call 24/7, and I know the EMO team is in the same the same sort of thinking. So we are here. Information will be put out on a regular basis, and we're on standby should should we need to have another news conference.
Do you have another question, Hannah? Lindsay Jones with the Globe and Mail. Mélodie avec ses médias. Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, that concludes today's update. Thank you very much. Voilà la fin de notre mise à jour. Merci beaucoup.